Welcome in to Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us as we have plenty to talk about on today's show. We have the updated Seattle Seahawks free agency tracker, also a list of names to watch when it comes to who the Seahawks should consider this round of free agency. But before we get to all of that, a reminder as always, make sure to subscribe to Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Daily videos. Hit that red sub button below for free coverage, and it's right here on YouTube. The only place to be. Make sure to subscribe. Get that notification going. You'll know exactly when we have new videos on the Seahawks right in your inbox. Check us out. We certainly would appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get started with that free agency tracker. Here's what has gone on for the Seahawks at this point. They were able to sign Quandre Diggs to a 3-year, $40 million deal. Al Woods to a 2-year, $9 million deal, while Sidney Jones is on a 1-year deal for $3.6 million. Will Dissly gets a 3-year, $24 million contract. Artie Burns on a 1-year, $2 million deal. And Uchenna Nwosu ends up with a 2-year, $20 million deal with about $10.5 guaranteed. Also on the list for the Seahawks, Austin Blythe gets a 1-year, $4 million deal. Quentin Jefferson with a 2-year, $9.5 million deal. Rashad Penny is back in Seattle on a 1-year, $5.75 million deal. Could have had more elsewhere, decided to stay in town for a hometown discount. And Kyle Fuller is also in Seattle with full details to be announced later. Here are a couple of names that the Seahawks lost in free agency. They include DJ Reed, the cornerback out of Kansas State, is headed to the New York Jets. Meanwhile, the team also lost Jamarco Jones to the Tennessee Titans. He played in just 6 games last year, though. So that is a look at a couple of the guys that the Seahawks have lost at this point. What do you think of the Seahawks free agency moves so far? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you right here on Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. So, with that in mind, the Seahawks have about $16.5 million in cap space left at this point. So, who are some guys that they could look at? Well, let's tell you. Let's start out with that left tackle spot, Terron Armstead. He only played 8 games for the Saints last year. You're talking about a guy that had a grade of 75.9 from the guys at Pro Football Focus, only allowed 1 sack, 12 pressures allowed, and 3 penalties in the 8 games he's played this past season. Another name to look at for the Seahawks is cornerback Stephon Gilmore from the Carolina Panthers. Now, Gilmore, you may remember him most notably for his time with the New England Patriots. A short year for him in Carolina, a 1-year stint. But the numbers of this 1 year he had in Carolina, the 8 games he played, were really terrific. Look on your screen right now, folks. We're talking about a guy that in his 8 games played, he was number 1 in the league in receptions allowed, targets allowed, yards allowed. Really did a good job in just those 8 games he played. And he is coming off an injury, so that is something to keep in mind there for Gilmore as he is in the free agent market. We have more names to get to in just a moment, but before we do, got to tell you about my guys at BetUS. They have quite the deal for you. If you log on to chatsports.com/bet and use the promo code Seahawks125, they're going to give you a 125% deposit bonus. What that means is if you put $100 in, they're going to give you a free $125 to spend. So use that promo code. You'll certainly be glad you did. That's chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Seahawks125. BetUS. We've got your game covered. Here's some odds to look at, by the way. March Madness continuing on Thursday. How about Gonzaga? A lot of Seahawk fans, I imagine, up in Spokane. Pretty excited right now for their team as they're the odds-on favorite to walk away with the national title at this point, the number 1 overall seed. They're still dancing. Arizona and Kansas, both 1 seeds as well. I'm a Jayhawk myself, so I'd like to see Kansas come out on top. That's who I'm putting my money on at plus 500. Meanwhile, Purdue at plus 900, and the Dukies on Coach K's last tour at plus 1,400 there. As always, chatsports.com for more information there. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code Seahawks125. Back to the list we go. More free agent targets for you. There's a familiar name. Jadeveon Clowney, former Seattle Seahawk member, played this past year for the Cleveland Browns. And I got to tell you, the Seahawks, they need an edge rusher badly. Folks, you Seahawk fans know this defense was atrocious last year. They had no pass rush of any kind. Got to get some edge rushers going. Clowney could be a start. Now, let's go ahead and tell you about Clowney here, folks. I want to get to a quote from Tim Weaver of Seahawks Wire about the possible reunion. Here's what he had to say. For our money, the best edge who's still out there is a familiar face. After coming over in a trade with the Texans, Clowney played for the Seahawks during the 2019 season, and their pass rush has been unable to recover since he left. There's more from Weaver. He says this past season, Clowney had a bounce-back year with the Browns, posting 9 sacks, 14 quarterback hits, and 32 total pressures. Clowney won't come cheap, but winning never is. So with that cap space, that's $16.5 million, you might have to free up some more cap space for this and then still go through your draft, but certainly somebody to keep in mind there with Clowney. So let's let you chime in now. What do you think about a return for Jadeveon Clowney in Seattle? Tell me in the comments below. Type Y for yes, type N for no, sound off, let us know. Y'all want Clowney back in Seattle? Tell us right here on Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Here's another name when it comes to edge rusher, Melvin Ingram of the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, folks, the Chiefs' defense last year in the first half of the season before Melvin Ingram showed up from Pittsburgh was so bad. They were giving up so many points. And then they were a whole nother defense when Melvin Ingram showed up and was able to help out that Chiefs defensive line this past season. He was phenomenal for what he did in that deal they made with Pittsburgh there. Here is what SI, NFL Fan Nation, has to say about Mr. Ingram. The 4-3-N primarily wins with technique. He has a variety of hand moves and plays with a low pad level. Low man wins, right? To functionally improve his length and strength, Ingram is most effective with either his speed to power aided by leverage or his spin move. So Melvin Ingram, he's been to the Pro Bowl a few times. This is a guy certainly one to keep out. So got to have an edge rusher. I'd like it to be one of those two guys, but we'll see what they can put together. Got one more name for you to add to the list. How about Julio Jones? Why not Julio Jones at this point, folks? I mean, yes, Julio Jones would probably cost some penny, some moolah of some sorts. But, I mean, the resume speaks for itself when you're talking about Julio Jones. It's a guy that's a 7-time Pro Bowler, a future Hall of Famer, and you already have your number 1 and 2 targets with Tyler Lockett and with DK Metcalf. Adding Julio Jones to the mix, you're talking about a guy as your number 3 receiver potentially. I know that things didn't go great in Tennessee like they would have hoped this past season, but if he could be your number 3, then who are you going to double team at that point? You can't double up on Metcalf or Lockett anymore. That's going to free up the offense to be able to do some more things if Julio Jones can be on that outside, let Tyler Lockett play the inside. Something to think about with Julio Jones there, as here we are after that stint in Tennessee didn't necessarily go great. Chance for him to rebound, and whoever your quarterback is, whether it's Drew Lock or bringing in a Baker Mayfield or a rookie quarterback, whoever it is, give him another veteran receiver to work with. That sounds like a win-win to me. So, now, your chance to chime in, folks. Sound off in the comments. Who should the Seahawks sign? You see the 5 players that we mentioned there. Armstead, Gilmore, Clowney, Ingram, and Jones. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you if you think they should sign one of those 5 players or maybe someone we didn't mention here on the channel. Now, 12th man, I need your help out here. Follow me on Twitter at Tyler Jones Live. Would love to hear from you. Yesterday, we promised you that we'd give out some shout-outs to folks that gave me the follow on Twitter. I am a man of my word, and we will do so right now. Fantasy Boss, P. Coop 97, Kelly A. Hunter 1, J. Ham B. Talk, Anod Fat Guy. Anod Fat Guy. He's not fat. He's a good guy. Manuel Jupu, or Jup, Cam Dub Nation, Jackie 87047236. I think that's somebody's social security number. J Luna 13_W. We certainly appreciate it. Also, E Shanungo, Josh DeHuman, Mike Blanco 808, and Coon 2 Tanner. We love the follows there on Twitter, and thank you for joining us here on Seahawks Today. We'll see you again this week.